Hi and welcome. My name is Aquarii Moon. So today I wanted to talk about energy signatures, spirits, and thoughts because they're all closely related. Being an energy healer, I don't necessarily always see the energy block. A lot of times I can just feel the vibes, and I can also feel it as I'm giving a treatment. And I've been noticing a lot of people expressing certain energy signatures that are very, very detrimental, and they do nothing but cause a lot of hardship and frustration and things like that. A few of the main ones are, the energy signature of anger, the energy signature of sadness, the energy signature of hopelessness, the energy signature of feeling like someone's doing something to you, or someone's always picking on you. Now, the reason why I say energy signatures, spirits, and thoughts are similar is because negative energies are generally the sign of negative spirits, and if their energy signature is strong enough, it can actually affect you. And the same thing with thoughts. If someone's really thinking, sorry, I keep looking over here because thoughts can become something that affects you as well. If it's concentrated enough, it acts almost like a chemical. It can, depending on how diluted that thought is, determines kind of the effectiveness of it. So they all kind of really are the same thing in my opinion, because when I'm talking to a person and they're describing, what's going on, maybe there's key things that are sticking out, like stress. People are always stressed because of anything you can think of, really. There's not really just one thing that stresses people out, but stress is a really big one. Your environment is another one. Who you're around, who you decide to let into your house. People pick up certain things as they're out and about in the world, and not everybody is strong enough to ward those things off or to avoid those things from attaching to them. A lot of people are naive, or they are asleep, like they're not even here, they're not even paying attention to anything. They're just kind of going with life and not really taking a step back and realizing, like, wait a minute, hold on, what is going on, having all these issues going on. A lot of times people try and deal with them themselves instead of working with someone like myself that would help to naturally cut away and remove those things before they actually become physical, because a lot of stuff is invisible at first. So thoughts, if you think about something long enough, you will eventually experience it. Now, the way you actually think about that thing, if you're obsessing about it, I've noticed a lot of times you're going to get like a negative type of result, or a result that you weren't really wanting. But if you are going for a goal and it's something that you really want, but you're actually putting good intentions into it, you're doing it for more than just material gain or for material recognition, it turns out a lot different, obviously. A good example is a college student. You know, at one time or another, many people have had, you know, a certain idea of what they want to get out of college, and then, you know, what that will lead to. And, you know, it doesn't really sink in, or it doesn't really become physical until they get the certificate or the diploma. Like all the hard work that they had to do, all of the studying, all of the, you know, all of that stuff, you know, they had to, in their mind, complete it. Like it had to be an entire circle for, you know, for those that did actually complete it. Now, people that went to college and they didn't really do that well, that's because they didn't really set that as something that they wanted to complete a lot of the times. And so I don't know, that was an okay example, but not really. Let's take another example, like somebody who wants a car. You know, a teenager, they want a car, they have a bike right now, or they can take the public transit. They don't, you know, their parents aren't going to buy them a car like some people's parents. So, you know, they decide, well, in order for me to get the car, I gotta, you know, they have to want it enough. So they want it enough to the point where they start getting a job, they start saving their money, and then boom, they're able to get the car or get a car, and then be able to build from there. But it really starts with the thought, you know, that initial spark of them wanting to do that certain thing or not wanting to do that certain thing. It can also go negative as well, you know, which a lot of people unfortunately utilize mostly. Instead of using the positive aspect of it, they'd rather utilize the negative aspect, and, you know, have really kind of fucked up point of views towards different people, and like wishing bad things would happen, or maybe not even wishing bad things would happen, but just like lightweight being a hater, like not really being supportive of something or anything like that. You know, those those thoughts are real. I had a friend who he started hanging out with this one guy. So he, you know, moved to this neighborhood, and he started hanging out with this one guy, and, you know, things were cool or whatever initially, but then the guy started going through a bunch of BS, like losing his car, losing his job, like all kinds of just down. Like he was just going down. Mind you, he was neglecting responsibilities and things like that, but nonetheless, now, you know, my friend is being affected because he's so close to a negative vortex. Because this guy, I'm telling you, he's just a big negative vortex. So he's you know, been hanging around with him so long that now that negative vortex is starting to affect him and his financial situation, his relationships, and his, you know, that type of thing. So because the guy that basically lost everything, like he's like really, like he's become like a Debbie Downer almost. He's like not really positive about anything. Everything is like gloomy, and it's like, man, this is not the business. Yeah, so I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, and for you guys to be aware, so that you can be more aware and cautious when you are around certain people, because those feelings that you pick up and the vibes that you pick up, like those are real feelings. Like, pay attention to those. Don't just think, oh, I'm tripping, or, you know, things like that. Like, I mean, obviously don't like go reacting on them, but at least, I mean, you know, to a certain extent, you want to pay attention to that, so that you know how to maneuver, and you know how to, you know, keep these negative energy signatures and negative spirits and negative thoughts off of you. And I realize a lot of people might say that, and it kind of sounds cliche, but it really is true. Like, when you stay more in a positive mindset, you tend to kind of create a barrier where that kind of stuff won't affect you. And that's one thing that I help people build up, is their positive barrier, so that when something negative comes along, it doesn't just totally drain you out and you're like back at square one. That's never a good place to come from. But I mean, we've all been there, and really just cleaning up the energies, releasing, spirits or thoughts that keep you in a depressed state, or that keep you in a state of hopelessness. I just, that word just keeps coming to me, so I keep seeing a lot of hopelessness. People are starting to not really want much, because things are changing so rapidly that it's hard to keep up. But the key thing is to do what you love, do whatever it is that you want to do. Jobs are great, they do get you to where you need to go, but ultimately you need to have a plan of transferring from that to doing your own thing and supporting your own self, because very soon jobs are going away. Like, everything, we see it already. Things are becoming automated. When I was doing digital marketing, that was the big thing, automation. You want to be able to cut out as many people but still get the same return on your investment. So that's how it was. I wouldn't say it was easy, but that's how a person could run a digital agency, because there's a lot of online tools that can do automated stuff for you. But back to what I was saying, do what you love. And I don't, and that's the thing, I don't want to sound like a big cliche, but like, meditation, time with yourself, time just really thinking about things is valuable, and it shouldn't be forfeited. I notice a lot of people, when they get older, they start kind of looking back and like, oh man, I should have did this. You never want to have regret. If you had an opportunity before and you didn't take it, and then another opportunity is presenting itself and you're recognizing it now, I would go for it. And this advice I'm also giving to myself, because I see the future of my day job, and it's not a bright one for me. And so that's why I'm like, okay, well, I need to stop just thinking, because that's my Aquarian thing, but actually start doing and completing it. Because I feel like I have a lot of great ideas, but they're not great ideas, or if I can't show a result of why it's a great idea, if that makes sense. But yeah, that was basically it. I'm not gonna talk your ear off about that, but I did want to bring that up, and just, because there's a lot going on right now. We're kind of in a period where some of the planets are in retrograde, and that plays a factor in a lot of things as well. I'm not really gonna get into that. I haven't really studied like astrology, astronomy, or anything like that, but I do, like, the little bit that I have looked at, I do see that it plays a big factor, that along with numbers, there's like a whole lot of different pieces to actually seeing the whole picture. And there's quite a few people on YouTube. I'm sure you guys already watch them. If you don't, any esoteric conversations where they're talking about um, anything like the planets or the matrix, you know, how this is actually all an illusion, and that we are here to essentially get out of the binds of materialism and actually live a fruitful life, you know, realizing certain lessons and things like that. But it was great talking to you guys, and this has been a very